Hello everyone, we are live again here on WellCode, and today we are going to talk about a very important topic as we talk every week. And today we're going to talk about how to learn more efficiently, basically how to learn faster without increasing the amount of time that you spend learning, because probably this is what everyone knows and what everyone wants. And I realized that I lied to you in previous videos when I said that there are no shortcuts. What I'm going to present today is a shortcut for learning everything. When learning everything in regards to code, not everything in general. This is a specific strategy when it comes to coding, when it comes to learning how to code in a more efficient way. So this is the main topic for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the question area and I will reply to them as soon as I possibly can. And also, if you are a beginner and want to start learning how to code, we have a free program for you that you can access here on wellcode.com. The only thing that you need to do is to go on wellcode.com, fill out the registration form, and then start our program. And from there on, we will be with you. We will answer all your questions and we will help you write your first programs on your own. So this is very important. We won't just show you, hey, here is how you write a program that prints something on the screen and then you just need to copy paste it and run the code on your local machine. We will teach you how to think. We will teach you how to write code independently, and until the end of this program you will understand how to write code on your own, basically. So don't forget to go on wellcode.com, register there and start learning. And now let's start talking about today's topic. And the topic is how to write code efficiently, how to learn faster, how to write code. So this is a very important topic, and the first thing that you need to understand is that there are harder ways of learning how to code and easier ways. And usually the harder ways bring results faster. This is the same as when you are training, when you are practicing a sport. For example, let's suppose that you want to become very good at running long distances. You can start slow and pleasant and just run for maybe 5 minutes every day, and you won't make much progress because your body won't get accustomed to maybe running for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or maybe running faster. But if you really try and push yourself, you will see that you make faster progress. And this is what you also need to do when learning how to write code. A lot of people are afraid of this. A lot of people are even when told about this technique, somehow they don't like it. But what you need to do is to trust me and do exactly as I said if you want to have good results and if you want to get the results faster. So because of the school system, a lot of times we are afraid to fail. And I'm sure that you had at least one teacher in school that made you feel maybe insecure, or he made you feel like you're not good enough or like you're not smart enough. And because of that, by the time we mature, by the time we start being interested in getting a job and becoming maybe a programmer, we already have this fear developed, this fear of failing, this fear of maybe looking stupid. And because of that, we are afraid to fail whenever we write code. So because of that, video tutorials for people who want to learn how to code are very popular, because in a video tutorial, the person that is teaching already writes the entire code. He or she already has the solution perfectly written, and the only thing that you need to do is to translate that solution, to copy it from the video on your local machine and then run it. And this might be very pleasant, and you might have the illusion that you are making lots and lots of progress, when in reality you are skipping a very important part, which is understanding the logic behind the code that you are writing. Because every line that you write, and from now on, I hope you will set this as a principle of learning. So every line of code that you write needs to be completely understood. So you need to understand completely every line of code that you are writing. Okay, so this is important. Now, I don't mean by that you need to understand how the ones and zeros go inside your computer and how the hardware works and what operations the processor does. No, I'm not talking about that. And I'm also not talking about thinking how when you print something on the screen, the computer instructs the monitor to color specific pixels. I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking about understanding the logic. Basically, how the solution was invented, because every piece of code is a solution to something. Every program is a solution for something. For example, when you are printing on the screen the very well-known "Hello World" text, that's a solution for something. You want to have the "Hello World" text on the screen, and then by you writing the code and printing "Hello World," that is basically a solution. And this has a very simple logic, like you just need an instruction to print a text on the screen. But as you progress, as you learn more and more things, you will have to solve more complicated problems. And at some point, when you will want to create your own applications, the problems that you are solving are more complicated than ever. So in order to have a strong foundation, and in order for you to be able to solve those complicated problems, you need to understand the logic behind the simple ones. All right? So you can't just jump ahead and build your own Facebook in one night before you understand how to print text on the screen. And then you'll also need to learn how to read text from the user. Then you will need to learn how to process that text, how to store it, and so on. So you'll need to have a step-by-step approach. And in order for you to understand the logic behind the code, you will need to try things out. And as I was saying in the beginning, a lot of people are afraid to try to write code without instructions. They are afraid to go and do something different than it's shown in the tutorial. Like, for example, I might have a video tutorial where I print on the screen "Hello World," but why not changing that program, and instead of printing "Hello World," you print hello there. Then you might want to print something different. Then you might want to print multiple lines of text. And same goes with everything. And I highly encourage you not to be afraid of trying new things. Don't be afraid of changing your code, even when you're not sure that it will work. Even when you are 99% sure that your code will fail, that your code won't produce the desired result, or even that the code won't compile and that you'll have errors. And the logic behind it is that you don't want to just stupidly write code and then press the run button and see what happens. You also want to understand why your code fails. So as in everything, as in life in general, you want to learn from your mistakes. And learning from your mistakes whenever you write code is something that is very important, because whenever a computer produces an error, there's a logical reason why that error happens. It doesn't just happen randomly, it doesn't just happen by chance, but there's a very logical explanation. And by understanding that logical explanation, you automatically develop your logic, you automatically develop your way of understanding code. So as I said, whenever you have an error, first of all, you need to read the text of the error very carefully. You need to understand what the error is telling you, because most of the time the error is in a very clear language. If you are reading it, if you're reading it with patiently, you will understand what the error is telling you, and you will be able to fix your program. Obviously, if you don't know how to fix it, there's places you can ask, you can reach out for help. In our free program, we offer a lot of that help. So whenever people are encountering problems, they can go there and ask, and we will help them in a timely manner. But this is super important. First of all, understanding the reason behind your errors in your code. Then you might write code without compile errors. You will write code that actually runs successfully, but sometimes you won't print the desired result on the screen. And a lot of people are afraid of writing code that fails to print the right result because they want to be right from the first try. And that thing is not possible. So writing code from the first try, especially when you are a beginner, is highly unlikely. I don't like using the words like impossible, but for me, like, I needed a few weeks until I write my first programs for the first try. So whenever your program doesn't run as expected, or doesn't produce the desired result, there is no reason for you to panic. There's no reason for you to maybe feel ashamed or guilty, but you need to see that as a learning opportunity. Because one of the most efficient ways of understanding code is to look at programs that are wrong, that are not printing the desired results, and fixing them. This is one of the most efficient ways, and I highly recommend doing it. And I also love doing it because it's also like solving a puzzle, like having a Sudoku puzzle, and you want to figure the missing numbers out. And that's the same with code. And when you are a beginner, you are very good at producing those errors. And a lot of people that I worked with produce errors that are very difficult to find out. So for example, I was working today with a student, and his code looked perfect. And even though it looked perfect, it still didn't produce the right result. And I was looking at the code, and I didn't understand why when we were running the program, the output was different compared to what we were expecting to see on the screen. And after careful observation, I saw a very small mistake, and that mistake was very hard to catch. But in order for you to be a successful programmer, you need to develop your attention to detail. And this is the best way that you can develop your attention to details, by just making mistakes and then thinking about them, understanding the reason why those mistakes happen, and then fixing them. So in order for you to do that, the number one thing that you need to do is to write as much code as you possibly can. Don't think about efficiency, don't think about how clean your code is, and careful, this is only for beginners. Once you start understanding how to write code, and once you improve your skills, obviously you want to write good code, you want to write code that is efficient, and especially when you are going to job interviews, you want to work on those skills, like writing code in an efficient manner, having clear names for your variables, and all those good things. But when you're a beginner, you don't need to worry about anything. Just sit yourself in front of the computer and try to find a solution that solves the problem that you are trying to solve. And don't worry about how correct your code is. Don't worry about any other things. Just try and produce a program that compiles itself and that prints something on the screen. And then, if the printed result is not the expected result, then the next thing that you need to do is to understand why your program prints what it prints. And once you understood that, and it might take several minutes of thinking, maybe tens of minutes, sometimes maybe you will think for an hour and you won't understand it, don't worry about it. It's completely normal. And once you understood that, then the next phase comes into place, and then you will need to fix your mistake. And also don't expect to fix your mistakes from your first try when you're a beginner. I would see it more as playing with your code, trying several things, see which things bring you closer to the solution. Then try to understand those things, then you can modify again, then you try the code again, then there's the thinking phase. So the algorithm, if you were to do a step-by-step description, is first of all, just write the code. Don't worry about correctness, don't worry about anything else, just write your code. Then you need to execute your code, you need to run your code, and once you run it, you need to check the results. If the result is correct, you run it again, maybe on a different example, you will test it again. And you do that until you are completely sure that your program is right. If your result doesn't equal to the desired result, then you have a mistake. And then this is the third step, is to understanding why your code doesn't print what you were expecting it to print. So for example, I'm running my code and I'm expecting my code to print 2 on the screen, but whenever I run it on the screen, the number 40 appears. So I need to analyze it, I need to understand why that number was printed on the screen, and basically this is the third step. And then the fourth step, once I understood why my program failed, and a lot of times this step 4 comes naturally if I'm understanding the mistake, the right, like if I'm understanding the mistake, a lot of times I'll also know how to fix it, but that's not necessarily, but it happens most of the times. Then I just need to fix the mistake. Then I fix the mistake and I repeat the whole process over and over again. So this concludes the method for learning fast. And if you were to remain with only one thing from this video, is to write as much code as possible. And also after you wrote the code, you need to understand why your code failed or why your code was successful. So those are super important things. It will boost the learning curve. You will learn things faster, you will understand them better, but you need to stick with this method. So having said that, don't forget to register for our free program on wellcode.com. Don't forget to ask any questions if you have them. And I'm super excited in helping you become a programmer. So don't forget to join our free program on wellcode.com, and don't forget to ask all your questions. I wish you good luck and I'll see you in the next video.